Hi, I'm Michela Magas. I'm from an outfit called Stromatollite. We specialize in taking research to industry. And we very much bridge science and art, design and technology. And we are approximately 50% research and 50% commercial. So there are a couple of projects that we're working on which really fit very, very well within this whole idea of large databases, archives, as well as open concepts. So what I'm going to show you first is a concept that both of those have been developed with the aid by the TSB. The first one I want to show you, let's just see if the sound is coming through on here, is a concept, a new concept for searching for music. Yeah, we've got a little bit of sound there. Let's try and see if we can bring that up. Not bad. Yeah, it's, can you hear it? Great. So basically, what this does is where Shazam answers to the question of, I like this, what is it? What we do is, I like this, is there anything else like it? It's as simple as that. Simple to say, but very, very hard to do. What we do is we analyze a piece of music with sophistication to the point where you can actually go to a live gig and you can just sample a bit of something and say, hey, this is really great. Is there anything else that I can find in libraries that will sound like it? Big problem with large archives is that the vast majority of archives these days, digital music archives, contain up-and-coming artists. They're very easy to store. You don't need to worry about how much it's going to cost you to sign up a band anymore and how much it's going to cost you to market. So you just store all their files. But the problem is, as we all know, is finding them and knowing how to spell new artists and things like that. So back catalogues and up-and-coming artists contain 90% of digital libraries. Warner's librarians typically know 6% of their library because it's so vast. And the rest is just sitting dormant. In terms of licensing this content, you have a massive gap between the free music, which can be accessed various different channels, but it's free and not necessarily very good quality. You have, on the other hand, hugely expensive licensing procedures which involve lawyers, which have a very, very long lead time. And on film production, on advertising production, on all of the new industries that are emerging in the digital landscape, where music content is needed very, very quickly, and it needs to be sourced out, usually on deadline. There's nothing available that will allow you to find a piece of music that you can license very quickly and download it the way you can do with Getty Images. Getty Images have tried to do this, and they haven't pulled it off. It's a non-trivial problem. So the TSB allowed us to develop a proof of concept based on a couple of PhDs that were done in this area, and that I will just demonstrate for you quickly. So if I were to say, I want something that sounds a bit like Aretha, but I can't afford Aretha. It's going to be way too expensive for me. And I'm doing a production that requires that sort of feel. So that's a bit of Aretha. What I did there was I just put Aretha in the system, and I went to a database in Barcelona which contains over 3 million records of all the different artists. Pulled it up. What it will do now, what we can do now, is analyze that in real time. This is something that used to take ages before, and it now takes a few seconds. And what it will do is it will analyze that clip that you just heard and say, well, from a library, which I currently have 2,000 tracks in this library. This is going live online, by the way. It's going to our service. And it's dug up, 2,000 tracks is very, very few tracks. Have huge amounts of the same artists, so really not a great selection, but it will find things which are relevant, like this. That kind of thing. What's really nice is it will actually find artists who you've never heard of. Now, I don't know if you can see here, she's called Emma Damon. Not particularly, doesn't quite roll off the tongue. You wouldn't really know how to spell it. I actually went to the people who own the library. This library is called Artists Without a Label. They were just bought by Cobalt. Cobalt are now the second largest in America because of their new approach of how they deal with artists and how they structure particularly the finance and payment structure with artists. Second biggest after Warner's now. And I went to the people who own it and I said, have you ever heard of this girl? And they went, no. I said, it's one of yours. And this was a case in point, that if you were looking for a production that would require this type of artist, you would find that in seconds, and you could now, this would be available to you to license, and you would download it. Now, this is brought to a cooperation with Peter Gabriel and Real World. We're coming out with Q Songs soon, which is a new system for licensing music. And Matt Brown, is he in the room? Because he's speaking. Oh, he's going to be here later. Matt Brown, who's coming here later, was actually on the assessment panel of this, and he actually got us to write a case study to the government to show how music technology innovation can change the music business model. And this is definitely changing now how you can sell music. Up till now, we've relied on recommendations, on Facebook, on the long tail. So basically, if you had 1 million artists that sold one record is as good as one artist selling 1 million. So yes, that's a good starting point. If then their mother buys another one, they sold 2 million. But it doesn't actually allow you to scale up from there very easily. There's no marketing tools, whereas this actually allows you to dive into libraries very, very efficiently. So this is a system that has attracted. When we first started working on Q with Peter Gabriel's managers from Real World, we were really worried as to how the big labels are going to react, because this is obviously changing their preconceptions about how to market music, etc. We've now got both Sony's, EMI, Warner's, Universal, and another 96. I think we reached 100 contracts based off the back of this demo. So this is something that we can talk to you about if anybody is interested in this area. We are setting up a licensing system. Cobalt are interested. They want to scale up to 500,000 to begin with, which is quite a challenge for us. So obviously, we will need some backup and stuff to build the business to that scale. We're starting quite small. We're patenting at the moment, so one step at a time. The other project, which is interesting, there it is, for this area, is Open Product. And Open Product is a system that we're currently doing a proof of market. We're rewriting the Creative Commons for the 3D interconnected world, because we found that the Creative Commons licenses do not apply to 3D artwork or products. Nowadays, of course, everything's fitted with Arduinos, everything's RFID'd, everything's connected. We know how this landscape works, so we have rapid prototyping. We have designers who are able to produce their own products. Each one can be customized. It doesn't have to be serial production. We don't have to rely on the old-fashioned patenting thing, whereas in the old days, of course, old days, I mean, it still applies that your patent had to cover the production tools because they were hugely expensive, and then you were churning out clones. Now, of course, the landscape's changed. I think everybody in this room is more or less familiar with this new landscape. We felt we needed a new framework. What we found was that in our own experience as designers, because we come from a design and innovation background, but also by teaching at courses at the Royal College of Art. We are ex-Royal College of Art and Goldsmith's Masters in Critical Practice. Both those courses very, very heavily focus on concept and idea and innovation. And we found that designers were very worried when they had product ideas, because they felt they would need huge amounts of money to patent them before they could get out, otherwise they would get ripped off, etc. We also found that in our experience in the typefaces area, the gatekeepers have already slalomed in before anybody could react, because you could buy fonts, you could own them, and then you could use them for your designs. Now you have to license them on a yearly basis from a repository, from a few repositories that now collate them, and they are licensed specifically per, according to use, etc. So the gates have already closed on that area. When it comes to new products that are now being manufactured, that can be made by by designers through rapid prototyping, for instance, or by, as I say, attaching Arduinos to them or tagging them, or in installation environments, which are increasingly being used to promote products. Authorship is not really tracked. So what by talking to students, we felt that there was a system needed which would allow design by attribution. Collaborative design is really very much the topic of the moment. Designers typically work with there's a developer. The developer can register their code under open source. The art workers can register their digital artwork under Creative Commons. Any writing can be registered under Creative Commons. However, anybody who is then producing the three-dimensional pieces for an environment, they cannot register it as anything. And what we felt was that we needed to start designing, thinking about design as a series of components. And if we start thinking on those lines, then each component, which is made by a different contributor, needs to be attributed to them. And it may happen that each one of these components, of course, this can have various different ramifications, but once there is a set of components that create a product that could be marketable, that actually can allow for a business model which could be based on, say, fractal royalties. So if each person is registered and is attributed to them, we know who will actually earn the money from it. The problem is, if you don't do that, that people simply will not release their ideas out into the open. So we have a simple system which is based, this license is based on CERN. We have a permission to use their model. And we can say we want to do it by attribution. If it goes into the public domain, you see our little man disappears into the public domain. So that's an option. We're now finalizing this site. And if we say we want non-commercial, we can then say we want, say, share alike. And so we choose how the license is compiled for us. We attach a name to it, the product that we've done, or the product that someone else can take and build upon, but our name is attached to it. And if they do build upon it, they would need to share alike and carry on building this product. So we are, as I say, proof of market at the moment. The majority of the funds were used to pay lawyers legal fees to write the licenses and do the research on. We're now talking to new designers in London, so basically this week. This is really topical because all the new designers are coming out. All the graduates are really keen to have a system they can work with, some way of protecting themselves and some way of also releasing their designs out into the open and being able to perhaps plug into other things and construct something. So it's an interesting new thing. We believe that this will bring lots of new business concepts, and even in sort of areas where sort of say half of this is made in the West and half in the third world, let's say. There's some very interesting models. So basically, just to put in plain language, you can design something like some basic components to PDA, which you will send out to other countries where other attachments or other apps are going to be added to it, which are more relevant to that area. So other components are added by others in other places around the world. So they all need to be all sourced out in the same place.